Discover how a hidden Omega's heartwarming kiss amazingly broke the Alpha King's 12-year curse. Ellie wiped the sweat from her brow as she hurried through the bustling diner. The sweet scent of pie filled the air, mingling with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of silverware. This was her sanctuary. Here, time slowed. She could lose herself in the comforting noise, a temporary escape from the world that demanded so much: 3 jobs, caring for her ailing mother, and the ever-looming threats from her landlord. Her heart raced at the thought of eviction. The Alpha elite, the privileged families that looked down on her kind, ruled this town like a monarchy, oblivious to struggles that painted the lives of people like her. Every week, she faced their sideways glances, their judgmental whispers, and the weight of their expectations. Yet Ellie held her head high, clutching dreams close, never backing down from her fight. As summer sun cast long shadows, whispers of the town's Alpha King, Cole, reached her ears. Once revered, he was now entangled in a curse that left him as a ghost of the man he once was, a painful reminder of lost hopes and fractured relationships. Ellie could see it, their suffering resonated. Their dreams smothered by burdens neither had chosen. Then one fateful afternoon, she found herself speaking candidly to a fellow waiter about compassion, about humility, the very things the Alpha King desperately needed to remember. Sometimes, she said earnestly, it's the smallest moments that carry the most weight. Unbeknownst to her, Cole stood just a few steps away, cloaked in thought. As he listened, the shell around his heart cracked just a little. Here was a woman without pretense. For the first time in years, Cole felt something stir in his chest, hope flickering amidst the despair. And then, in a bold moment fueled by raw emotion, Ellie leaned in. Their lips met, and suddenly the air was electric. A surge of warmth enveloped them both like the sun breaking through clouds on a rainy day. Cole felt chains of entitlement drop. He was no longer just the Alpha King but a man caught in the same storm of life. Ellie saw him unravel, the vulnerability that had been buried deep beneath expectations. The diner hushed, townsfolk gaping, disbelief woven into their murmurs. What had just happened? As the kiss lingered in the warm summer air, something shifted between them. Connections that had once seemed impossible began to form. Joy and sorrow danced, pushing and pulling as memories flooded Cole's mind, lost friendships, laughter, fleeting moments that once made life rich. He remembered the man he wanted to be, but reality was harsh. Ellie's struggles quickly surged to the foreground. With the landlord breathing down her neck, the looming threat of losing her home turned the warmth from that moment cold. Shadows crept back in, tightening around her heart, while Cole contemplated how to confront the very legacy that divided their lives. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue with rising costs and the tension of small-town judgment weighing heavy. Ellie fought to unite her fractured world with Cole's. Their bond became a discussion point, igniting change. Together, they aimed to heal the wounds of a community shattered by judgment and pride. But as each day passed, the doubts began to settle, and could love bridge the divide forged by centuries of wealth and status? Would they, against all odds, turn the tide and reignite the American dream? Or would their pasts entwine them in ways they couldn't foresee, leaving them trapped in a cycle of despair? The answers loomed just out of reach, as they ventured bravely into a new chapter of their lives. Ellie stood at the counter of the diner, the usual hum of activity surrounding her like a well-worn blanket. But today, her heart felt heavy, both from the weight of the world and the kiss that still lingered on her lips. It had been a moment of unguarded vulnerability. Cole had let down his defenses, and for the first time, she caught a glimpse of the man buried beneath the Alpha King facade. Yet, with every passing moment, the reality of their lives rushed back in. "What's wrong, Ellie?" Maria, her best friend and co-worker, asked, concern etched across her face. "You look like you saw a ghost." "Just, a lot on my mind," Ellie replied, forcing a smile. But even she could tell it didn't reach her eyes. The old clock on the wall ticked steadily, a reminder of time slipping away as Ellie thought about her impending eviction. Facing the relentless landlord who wouldn't hesitate to toss her and her mother into the street felt insurmountable. Yet, she also tasted the possibility of change, the spark of hope igniting within her following that kiss. After her shift ended, she slipped outside, seeking solace in the cool evening air. The stars twinkled overhead, distant yet impossibly close. Her mind drifted to Cole, the burden he bore, and how strange it felt to bond with someone so different, yet so similar. She recalled his haunted eyes and the flicker of hope she saw moments before the kiss. Suddenly, a familiar voice broke her reverie. "Ellie." It was Cole, his tall frame cutting through the shadows, a mixture of determination and uncertainty etched into his features. "I need to talk to you." Her heart raced at the sight of him. There he was, the Alpha King who had spent years wrapped in steel and pride. Yet, now he stood before her, stripped bare, searching for something, perhaps connection, perhaps understanding. "Sure," she said, trying to mask the quickening of her pulse. "What's on your mind?" Cole took a step closer. About us," he began, his voice low and earnest. "I felt something. I haven't felt anything real in years, Ellie. But what happens now?" "I don't know," she confessed, honesty pouring from her heart. "I have so many problems right now. I don't know if I can let you in. Besides, your world isn't ready for someone like me. You're still the Alpha King, and I'm just," he interrupted her, frustration marking his tone. "You're not just anything. You had the courage to see past the title, to see me for who I am. I want to figure out how to make this work, no matter the obstacles. I want to fight with you, not against you." Ellie felt a surge of defiance rise within her. Here they stood, two different worlds colliding, and for the first time in a long time, she wanted to believe the impossible. "But confronting the issues our towns face will take more than just us," she replied, looking down. "It requires the kind of change that terrifies people." "Sometimes the most terrifying changes lead to the best things," he urged, a glimmer of hope flashing in his eyes. "But we need to act fast. We must take a stand before everything slips away." The tension between them sparked, igniting something undeniable. But fear clung to Ellie, the shadows of their past lurking in the corners. She wanted to fight, but could they truly change the world around them? "Let us meet tomorrow," she said finally, swallowing hard. "We can devise a plan. If we can face everything together, maybe there's a chance." As Cole nodded, his gaze softened. "Tomorrow, then. But remember, I want to let you face this alone. We're in this together." As he turned to leave, a mix of anticipation and dread settled in Ellie's chest. She could feel the winds of change swirling, but would they have the strength to embrace it? With her heart pounding, Ellie whispered into the cool night air, "What have I gotten myself into?" The question echoed in the silence around her, the answer still just out of reach, waiting for the dawn to break. The sun rose gently the next morning, casting a warm glow over Ellie's worn kitchen. She sat at the small table, cradling a steaming mug of coffee, the aroma filling the air as her thoughts swirled around last night's conversation. A plan. They had a plan. But how could they actually make a difference? Hope and doubt danced in her chest, battling for space. "Ellie, honey, you up?" Her mother's voice called from the bedroom. The gentle croak reminded her of the unsteady ground they lived on. Ellie quickly wiped a stray tear from her cheek. She couldn't afford to fall apart. "Not now." "Yeah, Mom. Just getting some coffee." She forced a smile, even though her heart ached with worry over their living situation. Ellie caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror above the sink. Tired eyes stared back, but somewhere deep within them, anticipation flickered like a candle. Today, she would see Cole. Today, they would try to change everything. After finishing her coffee, she nervously paced around the living room. What if he regretted last night? What if the weight of his responsibilities swallowed him whole? The clock ticked louder with each heavy breath she took. She couldn't seem to shake her fear of the inevitable. "Ellie." Maria's voice blared through the phone. Are we still on for tonight? You said you'd meet me after whatever you're doing with the Alpha King. Ellie could hear the teasing in her voice, but Maria's concern was real. Yeah, I'll be there. I just have to sort out a few things first. Just remember, you deserve this. Sometimes taking a leap can lead to the best things. Maria encouraged, and for the briefest moment, Ellie felt buoyed by her friend's support. As the morning drifted towards noon, the weight of waiting became almost unbearable. Then, there it was, a text from Cole that sent her stomach into a whirl. Can we meet at the old training grounds? I have some ideas, and I want to share something important with you. Her hands trembled as she grabbed her jacket and rushed out the door. The old training grounds were on the outskirts of town, a place where warriors once clashed but also where history was carved into the very ground. When she arrived, the sun shone down on the worn dirt and faded wooden structures. Cole was already there, standing tall, his shadow stretching long against the ground. He turned to her, his expression a mix of anxiety and determination. Ellie, he greeted, his voice steady yet filled with an underlying tension. Thank you for coming. Of course. What did you want to share? The knot in her stomach tightened as she walked towards him. Cole breathed deeply, his gaze unwavering. I've been thinking about how to gain support from our people, your side and mine. We need both to create real change. Ellie nodded, trying to process his words. That makes sense. But, how? He placed his hands on her shoulders, grounding her with his presence. I want to hold a meeting, a gathering. Bring everyone together. Show that unity can bring strength. But I can't do it without you. You have insight into the needs of our community. Her heart raced. You want me to stand with you? In front of everyone? Yes. He exclaimed, excitement sparking in his eyes. This is bigger than us, Ellie. We can guide this change, together. A rush of warmth flooded through her. This was it, the call to action she needed. But she also felt the weight of doubt creeping in. And what if it doesn't work? What if they reject me? Cole's grip on her shoulders tightened slightly, his expression softening. Then we try again. Together. I believe in us, and I need you to believe too. You've shown me something beyond the title of king. You've shown me hope. The moment hung between them, charged with possibility. Despite the fear bubbling within her, she felt a burgeoning resolve. Okay, she said finally, her voice steadier than it felt. Let us do it. As they talked, plotting the details of their meeting, Ellie felt that spark of hope ignite further. But lurking at the edge of her mind was a painful reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. Just as they exchanged ideas, a sharp whistle cut through the air, sending a chilling signal of danger. Stay back. Cole shouted suddenly, his protective instincts roaring to life as he pulled Ellie close. In the distance, a figure emerged, and her heart sank as she recognized the menacing presence. It was the landlord, his expression smug and threatening. Looks like your plans are about to hit a wall, he sneered, advancing towards them. Ellie's mind raced. Could their defiance withstand the storm looming over them, and would it be strong enough to withstand the challenges ahead? Cole stepped forward, shielding Ellie with his body as fear twisted in her stomach. The landlord's face was a mask of smug satisfaction, relishing the disruption he was about to cause. The old training grounds felt suddenly less like a sanctuary and more like a battleground. Isn't this cute? The landlord taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. Planning a revolution? Hope you've got a backup plan when this doesn't pan out. Ellie could feel the tension in Cole, his muscles coiled tight. She placed a hand on his arm, willing strength from their shared resolve. Get away from us. She found her voice, shaky but loud enough to carry some weight. The landlord's grin widened, cruel and dismissive. And what do you think you'll do if I don't? Pretty little plans won't save you from reality. I control the game around here. Not for long, Cole shot back, his voice firm, asserting his authority. We might not have all the resources, but we have unity and you can't break that. Unity? The landlord laughed, the sound grating against her ears. You think that just because you two are getting cozy, the rest will follow? You're dreaming. Ellie felt the heat rise in her cheeks. Maybe he was right, maybe their dreams were too big. But a small ember of trust stirred within her. She turned to Cole, whose jaw was set tight, eyes blazing with determination. His words are meant to scare us, Ellie whispered, taking a step forward. We want to let him take what we're building. This is about more than just us. It's about everyone who has struggled like we have. The landlord sneered, eyes narrowing. Cute speech, but it won't change the facts. You're on borrowed time, and don't think for a second I want to make things miserable for you both. Why don't you try? Cole challenged, and Ellie could see the fire in his eyes, the hidden strength she had always admired. She felt another surge of courage. You think threats will stop us? We've lived with fear for too long. We have each other, and we're not backing down. For a moment, the landlord hesitated, the slight shift in his posture signaling uncertainty. But then he shrugged, brushing them off like flies. Just remember, you opened the door to this. I'll be watching. His words echoed in the air but felt fleeting as he turned away, his retreating figure already dissolving into the distance. Once he was gone, the tension ebbed out of the atmosphere, leaving Ellie and Cole standing together, panting with adrenaline. I can't believe he threatened us, Ellie said, her heart still racing. Cole turned to her, concern etched in his features. He's trying to intimidate us, but Ellie, we can't let him win. We have to focus on our gathering. The community needs to hear us, see us. Right, she nodded, feeling the intensity of their purpose return. We can't let fear steal our dreams. A silence settled between them, heavy with unspoken thoughts. There was still so much to do, and the looming fear of failure hung in the air. But together, they could face it. Can you promise me something? Ellie asked suddenly, locking her gaze onto his. Even if things get tough, we'll stand together? Cole nodded, his expression solemn yet bright, a pact formed in trust. Always. As they began to plan again, Ellie felt clarity settling over her, the doubt receding. Maybe they had the strength to do this, judgments be damned, but just as hope flickered into full bloom in her chest, another sound intruded, whispers from nearby bushes, and the unmistakable crunch of footsteps. Ellie's heart plummeted. Cole, we're not alone. He turned, instincts sharp as they stepped away from the training ground's focal point and into the shadows, stealthily trying to assess their surroundings. What if others were listening? What other threats lurked nearby? But Ellie felt something stir, a mix of fear and excitement. Someone had heard them, she was certain. Who's there? Cole called out, his voice steady despite the quake in Ellie's heart. Silence hung thick in the air. Then, a figure stepped into view, someone she didn't expect. Sorry to interrupt, the newcomer said, raising their hands in mock surrender. But, I think I might have something to contribute. Ellie's heart raced. Who was this person? Did they come as friend or foe, and what secrets would they unleash? The figure stepped further into the moonlight, revealing a young woman with tousled hair and a determined look in her eyes. Ellie squinted, trying to recall where she had seen her before. Who are you? Cole asked, his voice steady but cautious. I'm Delia, she answered, appearing unfazed by their suspicion. I've been keeping an eye on you guys for a while now. You're starting something big, and I wanted to be a part of it. Ellie exchanged glances with Cole, a mix of curiosity and doubt swirling in her gut. What do you mean? Delia shrugged in a way that seemed both casual and knowing. I've seen the way the landlord operates. He's played us for too long, and I think it's time someone turned the tables. What do you know about him? Cole pressed, stepping closer, instinctively protective of Ellie. Enough, Delia said, a hint of fire in her tone. He might seem all-powerful, but he's got a weakness. I've heard rumors about a secret meeting he's organizing soon, one that could expose his plans and give us the leverage we need. The revelation struck Ellie like lightning. What kind of meeting? His allies, the ones who keep him in power, Delia explained, pacing slightly as if gathering her thoughts. If we could get in there and record what they're saying, we could rally the community. Show them his lies, his manipulations. This could turn the tide in our favor. Cole's eyes gleamed with possibility. And you know how we can access it? Delia nodded. I have a contact who can get us inside. But we'll need to move quickly. The meeting is tomorrow night. Ellie felt a rush of adrenaline. This was the chance they had been waiting for, but it came packed with risks. What is the plan? She asked, already imagining the details swirling in her mind. Delia's expression softened, as if sensing Ellie's trepidation. We'll create a distraction outside, so you can slip in unnoticed. Just, be careful. There are others loyal to him, and they won't hesitate to protect their interests. Cole glanced at Ellie, and she felt the weight of his gaze. They had always been cautious, weighing every decision carefully. But this was different. We have to do this, Ellie said firmly. For everyone who has suffered under him. Delia smiled, a spark of excitement igniting in her eyes. That's the spirit. With the right approach, we can do more than just survive. This could be the start of real change. As they began outlining their strategy, Ellie's heart raced with both fear and hope. They were facing a powerful adversary, but for the first time in ages, they weren't alone. It felt right to fight back, to stand up for what they believed in. Maybe, just maybe, they could rally others to join their cause. Cole squeezed Ellie's hand, grounding her as the night grew darker around them. Together, we can do this, he said, his voice unwavering, but underneath the thrill of planning their next move, Ellie felt a small prayer flickering in her heart. What if they failed? What if the landlord's reach was too strong? Before she could voice her doubts, the crunching of leaves interrupted their focus. Who is that? Delia whispered, and her demeanor shifted from excited to alert in a heartbeat. Suddenly, a trio of shadows drifted into view, and Ellie's blood ran cold. Could they be allies or more threats? Show yourselves. Cole demanded, his voice steady, but the tension coiled tightly around them once again. As the new figures stepped into the fading light, Ellie's breath caught in her throat. She recognized one of them, and dread settled in as she wondered if this surprise would change everything. Looks like we've got company. What would this mean for their mission? Would they be friends or foes, and could they fit into a larger plan that was already brewing? Ellie took a cautious step forward as the shadows revealed themselves. The moonlight illuminated familiar faces, 3 residents from their building, Maria, Jonah, and Clara. The collective tension relaxed just a bit, but Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that this unexpected reunion might complicate everything. Ellie. Cole. Maria exclaimed, her eyes wide as she took in the scene. We came looking for you. We heard whispers about a meeting tonight. Is it true? Are you planning something against him? Ellie exchanged quick glances with Cole and Delia. This was different than they had anticipated. It was one thing to plan their mission privately, it was another to involve their neighbors, people they genuinely cared about. Yeah, we are, Cole said, and there was an earnestness in his voice. But it's dangerous. We're trying to catch the landlord in his lies, but we need to move carefully. Dangerous? Clara chimed in, her voice unsteady. We live in danger every day. Do you think we want to just sit by while he terrorizes our lives? Ellie's heart tightened at Clara's words. She understood the frustration and the fear behind them. Each day, they faced the landlord's threats, and it felt like they were trapped in a cycle of hopelessness. We have a plan, Delia interjected, her expression fierce now. And we could use all the hands we can get. But this is risky. We need to be sure you're all in. Maria stepped forward. We've had enough. We're tired of living like this. Count us in. Jonah, who stood behind Maria, nodded vigorously. Let us show him we won't lie down anymore. We can do this together. A chorus of assent filled the air, and Ellie felt tears prick her eyes of relief, of gratitude, and a flicker of hope. They weren't alone. They had a community willing to stand up for what was right, standing in the moonlight, surrounded by her people, a fire ignited inside Ellie. Okay, she began, her voice strong. Here's the plan. Delia has a way to get us inside the meeting tomorrow night. We create a distraction outside but need everyone's help to make it believable. As ideas bounced around, the mood shifted from fear to determination. They discussed roles, each taking on tasks that played to their strengths. Ellie felt lighter as they built a strategy, her heart swelling with the sense that this was where she belonged. They would fight not just for themselves but for everyone in their community who had suffered under the landlord's thumb. However, as they wrapped up their discussions, Ellie's mind flashed to the shadows. Where had those figures gone? A rustle from the bushes broke her thoughts, swinging her back to the present. Wait, what was that? She whispered, eyes darting toward the sound. The group held their breath, every pair of eyes waiting in anticipation. Probably just an animal, Cole said, his voice calm. But there was uncertainty in his eyes. There were too many unknowns swirling around them, then a low growl echoed from the darkened woods. Not the typical sounds of an animal. What if it's him? Jonah whispered, a lump forming in his throat. Fear draped over them, heavier than before. Ellie felt a shiver run down her spine. They were venturing into a fight that might be more dangerous than they had anticipated. But they couldn't back down now, it was too late. Everyone, get ready, Ellie said, her voice low and steady. Whatever happens next, we stand together. Steeling themselves, they all turned to face the shadows as they stepped forward, ready for whatever or whoever was waiting for them in the dark. What lay ahead, and would they remain united as they faced the greater threat lurking nearby? The shadows shifted, and Ellie felt the air thicken around them. Heartbeats quickened, the tension palpable. The growl came again, a warning rumble echoing in the stillness, drawing them closer together. Ellie instinctively moved to shield Clara, who stood trembling beside her. Stay close, Cole urged, his voice barely above a whisper. He glanced into the darkness, his bravado fading. It was one thing to plan a rebellion, another to confront something that felt truly dangerous. As if in response to their fear, tiny glowing eyes appeared, reflecting the moonlight. A collective gasp broke the silence. The tension wasn't just from the danger, they were losing control of their surroundings. Are those? Jonah's voice faltered, uncertainty coloring his words. Foxes, Delia breathed out in relief. Just a pack of foxes. But even as she spoke, a new unease crept in. This was no ordinary night. There was an unfamiliar heaviness to the forest, a sense that they were being watched by more than just wildlife. We should head back, Clara suggested, her voice quaking. It's getting late. Ellie's heart sank. No. We can't back down now. Their meeting had sparked hope in her, a fragile but bright light. To turn away now would feel like giving in to the landlord's oppression, just like every other time. This is our chance to stand together. If we scatter now, we might not get another opportunity. But if we stay here, what if something goes wrong? Jonah countered, worry etched on his face. The growl resonated again, deeper this time, echoing through the trees like a dark echo of their fears. Cole stepped closer to Ellie. We have to trust in each other. Whatever happens, we face it as a group. His eyes searched hers, desperate for belief, the weight of their mission pressed down on Ellie's shoulders. This was bigger than them, bigger than fear. She couldn't let doubt worm its way into their resolve. Do you trust me? She asked, locking eyes with each of them until they nodded, albeit hesitantly. All right. Ellie took a deep breath, digging deep to find the strength they needed. Let us position ourselves and be ready. Remember, the plan is to maintain the ruse outside while we gather intel inside. If we stay focused, we can make this work. As they broke apart, each person shifting to their role, Ellie stole a quick glance back at the dark thicket. The foxes had vanished, but the unease remained, like a ghost lurking in the distance. Suddenly, a movement caught her attention, a flash of something bright darting between the trees. A flicker of dread washed over her. Did anyone see that? But before anyone could answer, the ground beneath them trembled slightly, a low rumble reverberating through the air. They hesitated, exchanging glances edged with worry. "Move!" Delia shouted, her voice piercing through the panic. "We need to go now." In a rush, they combined their urgency, sprinting toward their destination. Ellie pushed her legs harder than they'd ever run before, fueled by the fire of determination and the fear that hunted them. Breathless, they reached the edge of the clearing where the meeting was to take place. Ellie glanced back, heart pounding. She didn't know if they were safe yet, wouldn't know until they pushed through the door and faced whatever came next. But as a group, they had made it this far. They were standing on the threshold of change. Together, she reminded them, her voice steady despite chaos swirling within, and in that moment of unity, everything rested on the razor's edge of possibility. Would the landlord finally pay for his crimes? Would they finally free themselves from his grip? Ellie knew the answer lay just ahead, beyond that door where truth awaited them. As she stepped forward, an electric thrill surged through her, sparking hope amidst the fear. What truth awaited them behind that door, and would they be strong enough to face it together? The door loomed before them, its wood weathered and rough, a barrier between their hopes and the unknown that lay inside. As Ellie placed her hand on the cool metal handle, she felt a surge of confidence. She glanced at her friends, their eyes wide with fear and resolve, each maintaining their grip on the bond they had formed. "On 3, Ellie said, her heart racing as she counted down. 1, 2, 3. With a collective push, they swung the door open, a creaking sound echoing like an ancient warning. Inside was a dimly lit space, filled with the scent of earth and damp wood. Shadows danced, and the flickering light from a lone lantern revealed a stark room. Diagrams and maps adorned the walls, evidence of their landlord's scheming. Ellie took a step inside, and the weight of their struggle pressed around her like a heavy fog. She felt the ghosts of past injustices whispered through the mist, each injustice resurfaced like a tide, renewing her determination. "We're here to end this," she murmured, almost to herself. As their eyes adjusted, the group fanned out, cautiously exploring every corner while trying to remain silent. Clara stumbled upon a table covered in papers, and a delighted gasp escaped her lips. "Look at this!" she exclaimed, her voice threaded with excitement. Jonah joined her, his brow furrowing as he scanned the documents. "What do they say?" he asked, leaning closer. Ellie stepped to their side, her heart racing as she caught sight of the words detailing the landlord's oppressive tactics. They outlined rent hikes, threats against anyone who dared to defy him. Anger bubbled up within her. "This is the evidence we need." Delia joined them, eyes sparkling with newfound determination. "We can expose him. We can finally show everyone he's not invincible." But just as they began to process their next steps, the door suddenly slammed shut behind them, a jolting sound that echoed through the small space. Startled, they turned, only to see the silhouette of a figure blocking the exit. It was their landlord, a sinister grin painted across his face. "Ah, how delightful," he sneered. "My little rebels have ventured into my fortress." The atmosphere shifted, suffocating under the weight of his presence. Fear clutched at Ellie's throat, but she refused to let it overpower her. With shaky breaths, she stepped forward. "We won't let you intimidate us anymore," she declared, her voice stronger than she felt. "Brave words," he replied mockingly, his confidence radiating. "But foolish to think you can challenge me." Cole moved to Ellie's side, shoulders square, indicating solidarity. "We have the truth now. You won't get away with this." "Truth?" The landlord laughed, a dark, hollow sound that echoed around them. "There's no room for truth in this world, only power." Ellie clenched her fists, anger fueling her. She glanced at her friends, each one of them understanding the same thing. They stood on the precipice of making a choice. They could take a stand, risk everything, or falter like so many before them. With her heartbeat thrumming in her ears, she whispered, "Together." The group rallied, an unspoken understanding settling over them. They formed a line, side by side, ready to face whatever the landlord had planned. As the tension hung in the air, the first confrontation was imminent, a clash not only of wills but of hearts driven by hope. Ellie had no idea what would happen next, but one truth stung clear in her mind: even in darkness, courage ignited a flame that could light the way forward. But what would that confrontation reveal, and would they emerge unscathed from the dark power that threatened to engulf them? The oppressive weight in the room thickened. Ellie's heart raced, a drum echoing in her ears as she exchanged glances with her friends. Each of them held a spark of determination that radiated like light in that shadowy atmosphere. "Step aside," the landlord commanded, his voice dripping with authority. "I have no time for childish games." He took a menacing step forward, eyes narrowed, assessing them like a predator sizing up its prey. "No." Clara's voice rang out, sharper than a shard of glass. "You don't scare us anymore." Ellie felt a surge of solidarity wash over her. They were in this together, every one of them willing to fight. "We know what you've done," she said, standing resolutely in front of her friends. "And it ends now." The landlord's laughter sliced through the room, cold and cruel. "Oh, but you really don't understand. Power isn't just about control. It's about fear, and you're trembling." But Ellie straightened her posture, summoning every ounce of resolve she had. "We're tired of living in fear. We're tired of your lies." The landlord's expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty breaking through his facade. For a brief moment, Ellie saw the man beneath the mask of arrogance, perhaps behind the bravado. He was more fragile than he let on. "Your little rebellion is pathetic," he sneered, brandishing a document. "These papers? They prove nothing. You think you can take me down with some flimsy accusations? You're weaker than you think." But each word he spoke lost its sting in the face of their unity. Ellie gestured at the papers behind her, the evidence they had gathered now a beacon for their movement. "No, we're stronger than we've ever been. The community will stand with us. You're nothing without your power over us." The landlord's composure wavered, cracks forming in his confident facade. "You really believe that? People don't care enough to fight back. They'll always back down." "I care," Jonah interjected fiercely, fists clenched at his sides. "And so do they." He pointed toward an unseen window. "One by one, they'll come. The truth will bind us together, just as their injustice once tore us apart." For a heartbeat, the room was silent. Ellie felt it, a swelling hope that filled the void of fear. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about everyone who had suffered under the landlord's reign. The landlord's brow furrowed as if he was trying to will away the tides of change. "You're all dreaming," he spat. "You think your voices matter? Keep dreaming, and watch what's left of your lives crumble." But Ellie was no longer afraid. "If we're dreaming, then it's time to wake up. You may think you're invincible, but everyone has a breaking point, and you're about to hit yours." Suddenly, the door behind the landlord creaked open slightly, revealing a glimpse of shadowy figures gathered in the entangled space beyond. Their murmurs rumbled through the cracks of fear, calling out to each other, united. With a flash of desperation, the landlord bolted to the door, panic flaring in his eyes. "No. You can't." But they surged forward, and he was just one man, cornered by a wave of unwavering spirit. Ellie felt a surge of triumph threatening to overcome her. They could win this. They might just be on the brink of their victory. As the confrontation escalated, Ellie's heart pounded with anticipation. They were ready, but how far would they need to go to dismantle the power he held? And what sacrifices would they have to make to truly reclaim their lives? The door was just a crack away from being flung wide open, and Ellie could only wonder what awaited them on the other side, and if their fight would ignite a flame strong enough to light their way through the darkness. The door burst open, and the murmur of the gathered crowd surged like a tidal wave. Faces filled with determination, every person who had suffered under the landlord's grip stood together, united by their shared struggles. It felt monumental. The air crackled with tension as they poured into the dimly lit space, voices crying out for change, for justice, for freedom. Ellie felt her heart swell. They had awakened a force far greater than any single individual could muster, the landlord's panicked expression turned to fury as he faced the sea of people behind him. He was no longer the untouchable figure of oppression but a cornered animal, his power dwindling like smoke in the wind. "You can't do this," he shouted, grappling for control. "I'll have you all thrown out." "Not anymore," Cole stepped forward, his voice steady and commanding, perfectly countering the landlord's threats. "We've documented your tyranny, and we'll share it. No one will threaten us like this again." His words bounced off the walls, resonating with the very strength Ellie felt flickering in her. Ellie took a deep breath, emboldened by the strength around her. "This is about reclaiming our lives. You've robbed us of our dignity for too long. We're done living in fear." The crowd erupted into cheers, passionate and fierce. The landlord staggered back, realizing he was wildly outnumbered. "You think you can rally a few people and make me vanish? I've been in this position before." He was desperate, shouting over the roar, but his confidence wavered. The unity around Ellie was palpable. They were not just voices anymore, they were a chorus rising against him. "Maybe you've forgotten," Ellie pressed on, stepping closer, her voice steady despite the intensity. "Power isn't just about fear. It's about connection. We know each other's names now. We care about each other's lives unlike you." The crowd erupted again, hands raised, some clutching the papers of evidence they had gathered, some holding candles that flickered brightly in the dark. "You think candles will stop me?" The landlord scoffed, but his bravado didn't sway the energy of the room. Ellie could see it, his strength fading as the truth loomed larger. "Truth is a flame that can't be extinguished," Delia shouted from the back, rallying the crowd. "And we're going to show you what happens when we refuse to cower." The voices erupted again, chanting no more. As Ellie joined in, the rhythm pulsed a heartbeat of defiance. The landlord's eyes flickered with uncertainty. He turned, realizing he was now trapped. The room shrank around him, and the shadows, once his allies, felt like chains. The very thing he had crafted for control had turned against him. Seeing this shift gave Ellie strength. "We're going to bring this truth to everyone," she declared, confidence swelling in her chest. "And your reign is over." Her words fueled the fire gathering around them. In an unexpected move, the landlord lunged towards the door, attempting to flee, but he was met with a wall of people. The strong force behind them, the weight of their unity, felt like a shield. Everyone took a step forward, a solid wall blocking any exit. The strength of community filled the room, and Ellie felt it wash over her like a wave. Fear had no place here. "This ends now," Jonah added, his fists balled with determination. "You've haunted our lives for too long." The crowd echoed his sentiment. It was a collective scream of justice, raw and powerful. With one last look at the faces that had joined her cause, Ellie took the final step she needed. "We'll share your truth, no matter what lies ahead. Together, we will fight for what's right." The crowd roared with approval, a thunderous affirmation of their shared goals. Suddenly, the landlord's sneer devolved into a snarl, and a flicker of fear finally pierced through his bravado. "Fine," he roared, his voice thick with venom. "You think this is the end? I'll make sure you pay for this." But something shifted in his tone, indicating that he recognized the tide had turned. With a final glare, he scrambled back, retreating into the chaos. Weak and desperate, Ellie took a collective breath, feeling the release of years of oppression. They had transformed fear into courage. The crowd erupted into cheers, a wave of collective joy that lit up the darkened space like wildfire. "Together!" Cole shouted, pulling Ellie into a tight embrace as laughter and hope filled the air. Tears of relief streamed down Ellie's face, mingling with the cheers of her friends, a celebration of resilience. They had done it. Hope has a way of bringing people together. Someone yelled from the back, and the affirmation surged through them. They had faced down fear with unity, and not only had they survived, they had conquered, changing the fabric of their lives forever. Ellie stepped back, heart full, looking at the vibrant faces around her. Everyone held hands. It felt like a promise, a newfound family where each story mattered. As the celebrations continued, Ellie couldn't help but feel hope recapture her heart, a wave that would ripple far beyond this moment. The fight wasn't over, but they had taken the first step towards something greater, toward a community that now stood proud and strong. In this newfound unity, they had all unlocked a part of themselves, their voices, their hearts reminding them what it truly meant to live freely. They didn't just break the chains of the landlord's oppression, they had ignited a fire of change, a flame that would forever illuminate their lives. Hope was alive, and together, they would guard it fiercely. As the crowd began to disperse, an electrifying warmth settled around Ellie. This was only the beginning. They would continue to stand firm, together, and fight for the life they all deserved. This is it, friends. If you felt that transformation as much as I did, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories. Hit like now to show your support, the algorithm counts on you. Comment below your feelings about this ending and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness what true courage can achieve. This is the moment to stand together. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the word.